Do your parents listen to your music? And have they said anything about what you say in your music? Because you have a line where you say, I like the top or something like that. And you say, swallow, don't spit.
Yeah.
Dude, and if any.
Swallow, don't spit, sippy cup of that treetop. Kicking back with my feet, watching Cowboy Bebop. That's on Boys in the Hood, man.
That's
yeah, no.
Was your mom? I mean,
my parents, I've heard every song I put out, and I respect them because they go out their way to be like, I'm gonna at least hear it. Their parents, they're gonna make comments. My mom and my dad have definitely been like, what is this line? If it comes out clean, it comes out clean. If it comes out explicit, that's just what it is. And I don't want to dim down my art for the sake of trying to dilute it so much that it's not, I feel like it's not as true as it could be to my experience.
It can't be that bad, oh, 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 it can't be that bad.
Dude, I feel like slowly, one by one, like Pokemon, I'm collecting your homies on this podcast.
That's hella funny. Because that's like the perfect analogy.
I'm a catch.
Like you're like the Ash of podcast world. Like, I'm just trying to get them all, guys. Like,
dude, and all these creatives, you guys are just like Pokemon.
I know. Hey, you never know. You could. So many homies being on it, it's like you might catch a rare, and it might be like someone like us, like, man, I should be on that shit. And
dude,
then,
all you guys are rare. What are you talking about? If you guys were Pokemon cards, you guys all have the star in the corner. You know what I'm talking about?
I appreciate that.
When you're not making music, when you're not at work, when you're not thinking about film, what does Will do on his own?
I like biking. I like riding my bike.
Whoa, you're like an active person.
No, for real. My dad used to work for Birkenstock, like the shoe company.
I gotcha. Okay.
Back in like the 90s. And his friend that worked there with him, I was trying to get a bike because the last one I had when I was a kid, it broke. And then I recently started getting back into biking during the pandemic because I was like, nothing to do. I want to get back into biking. I was skating before.
I can see that. You look like a character from like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater too. I feel like because you got good style on you.
I appreciate that.
And I feel like if I were to like create a character, I would choose that cardigan. I would choose that fit of jeans. And it looks like that, like the kind of stance that they make when you're making your character. I can imagine you doing that.
No, yeah. No, that's another thing too. I'll address that, then we'll get to the close. But biking. My dad got a Cannondale Birkenstock collab bike. It's like an orange bike. It's usually used for like mountain biking, but I ride it on the street and I like to do that a lot.
It's for mountain biking, but you ride on the streets?
Yeah.
Damn, dude. You're really just asserting your dominance on these streets then.
It's kind of like, I don't want to say like a big bike, but it's like a pretty hefty. It's not a street bike for sure. Like I can't do wheelies on it. It's not a BMX bike.
Okay.
But it's like, I think it has like 5 gears on it, but it's a nice bike. Like I really enjoy it. And I was like, I just want to get another bike. And it just came into my life. Like my dad was just like, he went to his friend's house and he was like, yeah, he has this bike and he doesn't use it anymore. So I just brought it home. But in my mind, I was like, wow, I really said I wanted a bike.
You just spoke it into fruition. Ask and you shall receive.
Ask and you shall receive.
Dude, biking scares me. Skating scares me. Physical activity that makes me go faster than me on my feet is terrifying. Because like, when I was young, biking specifically, I lived in this neighborhood in Benicia where I was going downhill way too fast. And I didn't really bike that much. I knew how to ride a bike. Mm-hmm. But I was unfamiliar with if the front brake was on the left handle or the right handle.
Yeah.
And a car was coming like perpendicular to us on the cross section of the street. And I broke with the front handle. And I thought I was so cool that I didn't wear a helmet, so I flew and I blacked out for a minute. I flew off my bike and I scraped my face for like maybe a good foot. And then I remember just waking up to like maybe 3 or 4 people saying like, "Yo, are you okay?" So now I'm terrified of biking.
Your face looks perfect.
Thank
I
you,
wouldn't
dude.
know that.
Wow, that's so nice of you to say. If I could find a picture from like whatever year that was, like I was like covered in gauze because my best friend's mom was a nurse and she like hooked it up. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Shout out health. Shout out skin.
Dude, shout out to health.
Your skin is the biggest organ on your body.
Whoa, you're right, man. When people say, I've had some people tell me like, don't forget to moisturize because it's the
It's the biggest organ.
the epidermis, man. It's so important to moisturize. You look like someone that like is really good with skincare.
You know, I'm on a good 5-step, skincare routine. Shout out.
5 steps.
I have a good woman in my life.
Ooh,
You know what I'm
let's
saying?
talk about it. Okay, what is shout out to her.
Shout out to her.
And
know.
shout out to this 5-step routine that let's break it down. What is this routine?
Okay, so I'm gonna break it down for the people because, I want everyone to have good skin. These are the products I use. Forewarning, these are the products I use.
Okay.
I'm not saying it works for everyone. I'm not a dermatologist at all. I'm just a guy with nice skin. But
What is this? That was a great commercial, I gotta say. Anyway, continue.
Hey, sponsorships. I'm good at reading scripts. Hey,
Damn.
partner
dude.
with me. I'm here. I'm living. I get in the shower or like, in the morning when you wash your face, Youth to the People. They got like this spinach and superfood cleanser. It's like it comes in a green bottle. I think it's around $30.
Okay.
You can get it at Sephora. Maybe you can even get it at Amazon. Everything's on Amazon. I'm pretty sure you can find it. But Youth to the People, really good. Then after I wash my face, like let's say like it's in the morning or I get out the shower and I just use that. If I need to use a physical exfoliant, I think it's called Dermalogica. It's like a powder exfoliant.
Damn, you're spitting right now. This is
Kind of
crazy.
expensive.
Okay.
Expensive. But it lasts hella long. Like I've had the same bottle for months because you don't really need a lot. Because what I learned is there's physical exfoliants and then there's chemical exfoliants. And especially people like us who be shaving, you need to use exfoliants because like the bumps that we begin, it be ingrown hairs that are trapped under the skin because we're not exfoliating enough sometimes.
Damn, dude. Wow.
So that's a physical exfoliant. The chemical exfoliant, it's called PFD, is the one I use. And it's like a brightening and chemical exfoliant. So it's a chemical exfoliant that you can use on your face, but it also like brightens the skin and evens your skin tone. Like if you get dark marks, because when you get like, it does that. So skincare routine, Youth to the People. Then if I'm using a physical exfoliant, Dermalogica, I get out the shower. I use the cotton pads, not the cotton balls. Not really a fan, but cotton pads. Then I hit it with the COS RX. It's a Korean skincare brand.
Dude, Koreans got it on lock.
They're killing the game.
They are in
They're
every
killing
facet.
the game. I'm not even going to hold them. They are snapping. And COS RX is like top tier, at least what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing.
And from what you're experiencing too, dude.
COS RX, sponsor. I don't know what camera. COS RX, sponsor me. I'm out here. You see my skin.
Dude.
If you look at my Instagram, my pictures, you see my skin.
It's straight advertising.
Let me.
Dude, you got a line. Speaking of which, baddies, welcome to another episode of ICBTB Podcast, also known as It Can't Be That Bad Podcast. I'm joined here today by the one and only WilBEENTrill, AKA Wil Clarke, AKA WilBEENTrill.
Wow.
Dude, you're
Thank you
dope.
for that.
Thank you for coming to the studio. I was going to say, you have this line in one of your songs where you say your skin is the best when the sun's out. Speak on that. Now that we're talking about skincare, what's that whole thing about?
Yes. Okay, that song is called The Pursuit of Happiness off my EP Noir film, which just released today.
Yep.
But yeah, no, my skin looks the best when the sun is outside is referring to, I always feel like I'm a sun seeker. I love when the sun is outside. Spring and summer are my favorite seasons. And I just always feel like, when you go outside and the sun is just shining on you and you just feel good, you feel warm, you feel like you have energy and the world is just in your hands. I go outside and I'll just be like, man, I feel like my skin and my melanin are at its peak.
Wow.
When I'm just getting the sun rays. And it's like, I'll take pictures on like my story or whatever.
You'll be like,
and
I'm
I'll
looking good.
And I'll just be like, man, the sun is making me look amazing right now. So And that's what it just came from. Like, a lot of my songs are really just me being honest and talking about my life. And that song specifically came from a conversation with my friend Jebby, or Drippy, as some people formerly know him as. We was talking about like writer's block and like writing songs and like rapping in general. And then we was both talking about how it's like you can't have writer's block if you're just talking about your life and you're being honest. And for me, good. It's like, how can I be honest about my life, but how can I put it in a tasteful way and create art out of it? Because I treat my art and my music as a form of documentation of my life. So I was just like, man, I was literally, when I wrote that song, I was literally came home from the gym and I was like, I don't want to go home yet. I just want to like get some more exercise, cool, like do a cool down. So
you're a very healthy person.
I try to be.
Skincare, come home from the gym, you're like, I'm not done yet. Keep going anyway.
So I'm just like walking and I'm by Laurel Creek and I'm just walking around town, like literally on my feet, just walking around town. And I was like listening to the instrumental and I was just writing. And in my mind, I was like, I'm just going to like write the first thing that comes to my mind, because we just had that conversation the day before. And then first line that came to my mind, I just wrote it down. And from then I just kept writing. And literally when I wrote that line, I was by the park and the sun was literally shining on me. And I was like,
I got it.
I was like, this is it. So I just wrote it down. And whenever I write, I always try to write, maybe cut some stuff here, there, whatever. But when I wrote that, I was like, this just feels real. Yeah. This is real.
I mean, even you breaking it down, that's as real as it gets. I think that what you just said about you and Jebby talking about, you can't have writer's block if you're just speaking honestly, right, about your stuff. And shout out to your EP, Noir Film, that just dropped at the time that we're recording this. I noticed from doing some research about you, when I found out that you studied film production at Sac State, I was just like, it makes sense, because you had a rollout of 4 different scenes, all in noir style, which is beautifully directed, I must say. And shout out to your homies for helping you with all these projects. But it makes sense that you had studied film when putting these out. And I was like, oh shit, let me go back to this EP. And I was like, every single song is named after a specific movie. Yes. Even the spelling, Pursuit of Happiness and Pursuit of Happiness. And I was like, okay, Boys in the Hood, duh, right? Begin Again, that's the Keira Knightley, Mark Ruffalo film, right? And then there is The Players Club. And I'm like, this all makes sense with the way that you put it. And as someone who does appreciate film as well, I mean, you've entered my studio. I told you that I watch bad films, but I also really like good movies. Dude, kudos to you to really putting in both of your loves for art, film, and music and making it one baby, dude.
Yeah.
How's it feel, man? Like, you dropped your EP today. We were talking downstairs for a hot minute that you have such a great support system. Like, how you feeling, dude?
I'm feeling great. And I'm honestly so grateful and happy that you're able to notice that, because that's something where I went in and I was like, I'm doing this for me. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if people catch on, they catch on. But I was like, I'm doing this for me because I want to bridge that gap for myself. Yeah. In the terms of where it's like, I don't have to just be in one or in the other. Because I think a lot of times as a creative, people want you to just be in one thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I've done both things. I've had careers in both senses. Like, I've done art directing for a short film called The Talk in Sacramento in 2020. It got picked up in a few film festivals.
That's dope.
We got it shown on the Public Access channel in Sacramento. It started getting some traction in the UK. I recently just did wardrobe. Well, in December, I did wardrobe and stylist for a film called Donna and Allie. And then we just won an award in Memphis for the film. Dude, and then we had a screening in Memphis and Oakland. And then I'm working on other projects, like you said, directing my own scenes. I have my YouTube channel, Midnight Gallery, where I interview people about their life experiences.
I saw that you were interviewing some skaters.
Yeah.
And that was really cool too.
Because those are the people I'm genuinely hanging out with at the time. So I'm like, I want to hear your story and I want to present it in a way where people can hear it and maybe they can take different parts from it and realize that like we're all living different lives, but we go through similar things. So we're actually able to relate on more things than I think people think we can. And that's what the community building aspect of my art is. Like, I want to show people that like, hey, we're actually more alike than different. And it's like the more we can come together and create that kind of camaraderie amongst each other, then I think we'll be able to communicate better with each other in the world. So going back to the EP is like, why just have a separate film career and just treat that like it's this? Even though I do have, you know, a separate channel and a separate Instagram for people who do want to just see that side of me. And then I have the WILBEENTRILL for the music and other modeling and other things that I do. But it's like, when it comes to creating art, I just got to a point where I was like, I don't want to feel like I'm just separating myself into two different places when it's like both of these things are me though. Yeah. Why am I splitting myself in two? And it's like, I'm me. And I think everybody has the capacity to be multifaceted. So it's like, why would I not want to express that? But obviously do it in a tasteful way. Yeah. So I just had the idea to do it and I didn't second guess myself. I was like, you know, I'm going to do this idea and this is going to be it. And then from there, I just wanted to create it. And then noir film is just literally like with the scenes, it's film noir scenes. Yeah. And noir film is just a play on that where it's like, I just flipped the words instead of film noir. Now it's noir film, and noir is, you know, black. So it's like black film. I'm a black filmmaker. Wow. Making music.
Wow. Broken down. That's so cool. That is really cool. And at 25 years old, that is a lot for you to have accomplished. And this is the longest we've spoken. Like prior to recording, we just spoke for like an hour downstairs about anything and everything, which is really cool. It was great. It was great, dude. And I can tell that you do have this effect on people. You're like a very motivational speaker. And I remember at your homie's horror night, I think it was like Cam introducing you right before you hopped on. He said, if you talk to this guy, you're going to learn something new about yourself. And we spoke downstairs and I learned so many new things about myself. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I can do it. And do you get that a lot? Like whenever you're like,
I do get that a lot. My mom tells me that a lot, honestly. She's like, I feel like you should do motivational videos, or I feel like you should just do this or that. But I'm always like neglectful in a way because I'm like, I'm so focused on like making music and making films. Yeah. Maybe later down in my life, maybe when I'm like 40 or 50, I'll be like, I'm gonna just, but I don't know. Cause like, I don't know. I just love what I do right now. But I think I'm just a student of life. Wow. Like I really take in like my human experience and I really take in everything that happens around me. And I try to be a sponge and I try to just be open and just wide-eyed to like life and what's everything that's going on around me. And then other people's lives happening in my proximity. And I just take those experiences and I really think deeply about the world and think deeply about human experience. And I think I'm just always curious. If I wasn't making music or films, I always tell myself, I was like, I'd be a sociologist or like a psychologist, because I'm always thinking about like the way people go through life and like different people's perspectives. And I'm always thinking about like humans in general, like, man, how do we go through life? What are different people's experiences like? How does your experience shape the person you become? And it's like, because I have an older brother and, you know, love that man to death. He's like one of my biggest inspirations ever. Like he's the greatest. He's the greatest ever.
I love that. I got an older brother, and so I really vibe with that.
Yeah, no, that guy's amazing. Like more than he gives himself credit for.
What's your guys' age difference?
4 years.
He's 4 years older?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
He's 4 years older.
And so he was just a large part of your upbringing, obviously, since he's your brother. And so what, you owe a lot of like how you are to him?
He introduced me to a lot of stuff. Like I got into anime because of him.
Dude,
and I really
same
love
here.
anime.
Same
I got
here.
into video games because of him. He's like I feel like he could have went pro with video games, but
Whoa, like what video games?
Bro, like
He's like competitive?
He's competitive, like say for example, like Super Smash. Bro, amazing. He's played literal tournaments and won.
Wow.
But he treats it like, oh, I'm cool or whatever. I'm like, bro, you could be a pro video game player. Uh-huh. But like, you know what I'm saying? But he's just amazing. And like just him as a person, he's always, me growing up since a child, he's always been himself no matter what. Mm-hmm. Even if like his interests are like not everybody's interests, or like the things he's into or the things that get him excited or get him riled up are not for everyone, or like it's just the fact that him being who he is and standing on that 110%. Yeah. I grew up and I was just like, whatever I like and whatever I want to do, I have to stand on that completely, because it's just like you'll attract the people who are right for you around you based on that. And it may not be for everyone, but it's like you shouldn't try to make yourself for everyone, because then you're not being true to yourself. Yeah. And I see him as someone who's true to himself, and he's like done everything in service of like what he wants his life to be, what his dreams are. And that's just like really motivating for me. And I don't always feel like he understands. Like he'll be like, oh yeah, I know I'm doing it. But I'm like, no, bro, you don't understand. Like a lot of people do not be themselves as much as you are. And a lot of people don't stand on the things they stand on as deeply as you do, regardless of how your perception is to other people. And he's a great person, but I'm just saying like the idea of just like, I'm myself and that's it. I'm not trying to be nobody else.
Multiple things with that are very beautiful is that I've known a lot of people who have broken relationships with not only their family, but specifically their siblings, which is something that I feel like I experienced both worlds, where I grew up very close with my brother, and then there was a certain age gap that we have because he's 6.5 years older than I am. And so it was obvious that when he was in high school and I was a dumbass like fourth grader, that I would be annoying him. And so we were very, very distant. And then once I was in late college and he was just in the workforce, and we were at the same maturity level, like we came very close and stayed that way. And it's cool to hear that it seems with your guys' age difference that you guys have just been very close and that you look up to him and are giving him the credit that he deserves. Because you don't hear that a lot about like brothers, man. You don't hear that a lot with any siblings. I hear so many times they're just like, my sister's a bitch. And I'm like, fuck, dude, that sucks because my brother's dope as hell.
No, yeah, no. And that's how I truly feel. Like me and him are definitely opposite people when it comes to like personality. Like he's very like, he can be very quiet and reserved and kind of just like observing his surroundings, doing his own thing. I'm very like out there, very social, and he can be social for sure. But I'm just saying like we're different people. Like I'm more loud, I'm more talkative. He's more like listening. He's more like just watching his surroundings and kind of just keeping to himself. But it's just like, I think because my family's from Jamaica, so I'm a first generation child. And a lot of my family is still on like the East Coast or in Jamaica and stuff like that. So it's like I don't have a lot of family in California. So it's like growing up, I really grew up like my brother. Like
that's
my
all
like,
you
like
had.
like this is what, like, you know, up until a certain point where I started meeting other people and then, you know, just kind of getting around. But like, you know, when I'm born all the way up to when I was around 4 years old, when I moved to like out here, it was kind of just like he was all I had. So it's kind of just like this is
That's everything.
This is my guy. You know
because
what
other
I'm
than
saying?
that,
Like,
it is your immigrant parents. Where I'm sure like there's a growing up in America, two immigrant parents. Because I understand that both of my parents are from the Philippines, and so it's obvious to have a connection with your culture, but also there is the distance of I'm growing up in America. They didn't grow up in America. So you look up to the person that's going through it with you, right? Which is your brother. How was it growing up as a first generation child? How has it affected you nowadays, would you say? Both good and bad.
I think the good things for sure are that I'm blessed in that my parents very much wanted me and my brother to understand our culture and know our family. I used to travel a lot to Jamaica as a kid, like back and forth like every 2 or 3 years, just to kind of like see my uncles and see my aunties and cousins, because a lot of them still live in the country. So I've seen Jamaica a lot as a kid growing
That's
up.
so cool.
So I've been able to witness the culture and go to like certain landmarks. Like I've been to like Bob Marley's house where he was recording music when I was a kid. And that like, even then, not, I guess, knowing as a kid that I would get into music later on, but looking back now, I'm like, wow, that was really like a monumental moment for me as a kid to be there and be like, wow, he recorded music right here. He was in this house before. Or just like being in Jamaica and just seeing the culture and seeing people that look like me, people that have gone through similar experiences that my parents have, and them just telling me like their history, like, oh, I used to go to school here, I used to live in this town and stuff like that. Perspective.
Did you grow up feeling like where did you grow up? You said you had moved here later on.
I was born in Santa Rosa.
Okay.
And then I moved out to Fairfield when I was about 4. I was living in Nevada for a little bit in these apartments.
Oh, nice.
With my parents. When they first moved out here, they was like using like cardboard boxes as tables and stuff. Like
Holy
real immigrant
shit, dude.
Real immigrant
really?
Life, you know?
Man.
But they made it work. Like I honor my parents for the amount of work they put in to get to where we're at now. You know what I'm saying? Because like no matter what was happening, it's like my parents were the type of parents where like, even if stuff wasn't the best, like financially or whatever was going on, they didn't in a way where me and my brother wouldn't necessarily know growing up. You know what I'm saying?
So you didn't even realize the type of poverty that you were living through?
Not necessarily.
You like, what were simple things that you and your brother did for happiness while your parents were making it happen? Yeah.
I mean, like my brother went to the YMCA a lot as a kid, and then I'm not sure if I started going there because I was so young, so I don't remember. But I just knew my mom would always try to like do things to like, you know, take us to the park, other stuff. But then she would try to do things to like make sure we were safe and staying in the house. So my mom would like, you know, make sure like I think it was when the Nintendo 64 came out, she like got the money to like get that for us. So like we would stay in the house and play video games. And I think that's something, I think I was talking with my mom like last year or something like that, where she was like, I use video games as a way to like entertain you guys, but you guys would be in the house. So I knew you guys were safe because I could keep an eye on you.
Whoa.
At the same time.
I didn't think about it that way at all, man.
So it's like, but it's like, and I got really into video games through that because it's just like, I'm just playing video games. But it's like, I didn't see the parental aspect until later on where it's like, oh, you're using that as a way to like make sure we were good because we were there. And like, when I moved to Fairfield, we lived on a block where it's like, there are a lot of other kids. So I was able to play with the other kids on my block. But even then, I was still in love with video games as a kid. I used to watch like, what was it? E3.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Was it G4?
Yep. So you know Olivia Munn.
Attack on the Show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I used to be on the IGN looking up the cheat codes. Like
Always.
I was deep.
My thing was cheatcc.com if you ever used that. That was my thing for
I was deep. I was deep.
Dude, my parents, that's so cool that your parents use that as a way to make sure that you were safe. Because the only reason my parents got us like a Super Nintendo or like a GameCube and whatnot is because I was just a shit little kid and I really wanted to play. I would cry. I was that kid that would cry and until I got what I wanted because I didn't understand that my parents were struggling financially.
Yeah.
And I maybe they used it as a way for me to keep off the streets. I mean, as you can tell, I'm a fucking hoodlum, dude. As you can tell, I kept off the streets, but the streets didn't keep off of me, man.
But no, I love my parents, and like as time went on, they made a way to like do better in life, and like just do better in life, get better jobs, and like we were able to kind of like get into a better place. But like we had to build into that over the years. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like we had to build into that, and my parents were always super protective of me and my brother. I think that's just an immigrant parent thing. Obviously, it's a parent thing, but I think even more so for them because they're like, we know about America because they were here a little bit before they started having children. Mm-hmm. But it's like still like they didn't grow up in America, so I'm sure they didn't know everything that was going on.
It's a foreign land, dude.
So they're trying to like make sure like we're good, we're safe. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like they're just always being very protective of us, which looking back, I can understand from a parental aspect. But as a kid, obviously, sometimes I'd be like, bro, why can't I go certain places?
I just want to go outside. I just want to kick it with
like,
people.
Why can't I go like to the mall with my friends sometimes as a kid? Or it's like, why do I have a curfew of how long I can stay out? I just want to play. But it's like when you're a kid, you're not thinking about how unsafe the world can be sometimes.
Would they ever let you sleep over friends' houses?
It depends on who they were. They had to like know their parents. They had to call them, make sure they were like good people.
Dude, it's crazy as kids.
It was like steps that had to or requirements that had to be met.
It's an interview process, man. Because my parents were the same. They had to like interview. Like they didn't mind if friends were sleeping over because they had their eyes on us. But if I was sleeping over a friend's house, you're right. They would have to meet the friend. They would have to know the friend, where the friend lived, how the parents of that friend were. It was a whole process. Yeah. And then even then, like
it may be a yes or no.
It's still a yes or no. They got to think on it. And I'm like, why? Why can't I sleep over?
Yeah.
I say this thing a lot. I say that we are our childhood. We are our trauma. You agree with that?
Yeah, no, I definitely feel like there was a lot of not good things that have happened in my experience. Mm-hmm. I felt like early on in my life, I experienced a lot of the way I try to word it to people. And like, I'm really open about it. Like at this point in my life, like it doesn't really bother me because like everyone goes through their own thing. Yeah. But like, I think about it in the sense where it's like, when you're a child and you're kind of growing up and you're like, you're not really thinking about yourself, I guess, in a way too much. Yeah. You're more just thinking about your experiences as a child. Yeah. But growing up in the area I grew up in as a child, it was very white, just plainly speaking.
You said like Santa Rosa and
like
Novato.
Santa Rosa, Novato.
Dude, I work in Novato now and I get that.
It's just like very, that's just plainly what it is.
I was talking to a Hispanic friend who lived in Novato and he said, and I was like, how is it living there? And he said they call it Novato for a reason. They don't want Novatos in there. I'm like, what? I don't think that's why they call it that.
Yeah,
but that was a joke. But
wow,
anyway,
that was
yeah, spitting bars, bro.
Wow. I remember going to school as a child. And being like, it was like me and my brother and I think one or two other kids being the only black kids at that school. Damn. So it's like, as a child, I was told I was black as a child. That's what I was saying. Like when you grow up and you're like, oh, I'm just a kid. Like since I was like a little kid, I knew I was a dark-skinned black kid. Mm-hmm. I knew. I was told. So it's like growing up, it's like you perceive or at least I did. I perceive myself as being different.
Wow.
Because I was like, there's all these white kids. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, there's only few people that look like me. So I'm feeling like, wow, I'm essentially an outsider. Like I'm here.
Without anyone telling you felt that way?
I felt that way as a kid. I don't know how I had the ability to, I guess, understand that, which I didn't. But I'm saying like I just knew that as a kid, where I was like, I'm not like this person because of my skin color.
Yeah.
And not saying that it's like, I don't ever want to use it as a way to like, as a detriment to like my character, or like, I was like, oh, I felt like because I'm black, I'm like, it's holding me down. Like, I think like, I believe that I was just aware of it, and I believe it had like subconscious effects on me that I didn't realize till later on in life, that I'm like still trying to like, you know, work through. Definitely gotten a lot better, but it's just like, man, like you realize how much, like you said, things stick with you from your childhood, but you don't realize it till you're
older, man.
Till you're older, and you're able to have those complex thoughts and those complex ideas about like, oh man, how do I perceive myself? What things in my experience led me to being the person I am? Yeah. What moments changed the way I think about myself, or I think about the world?
Were there any... When was the first time you were able to clock in any like microaggressions or even macroaggressions because of the color of your skin growing up in predominantly white places like that? Because I'm sure a lot of it growing up kind of just like went over your head, and because you were a kid, it's kind of hard to really take a step back and look at the bigger picture of America.
No, yeah. I think maybe being like singled out of certain situations, I guess. And, you know, I'm sure there's other kids that can definitely relate to this. Like, I know I'm not the only one, and I know I'm not like saying my situation is worse than anyone else's. Like, everyone has their own situations. But I think just growing up as a person of color in this country, especially if you're an immigrant, is an interesting experience, especially considering Jamaica is majority black people. So it's like coming to a place where it's like a mixed pot, and then you start being looked at different. It's like, oh, like I'm coming from a place where it's kind of like we're just looked at as like people. Yeah. But now it's like we come here, and now it's like you're a person, but you're a this type of person, or you're a that type of person.
Categorized immediately.
It's like the categorization opens up, and you're like, oh, there's a whole nother way of being seen.
It was the other way for me growing up, being a person of color. I grew up in Pittsburgh, Antioch, and people there's a lot of Filipinos, there's a lot of Chinese people, a lot of Vietnamese people, a lot of Mexican people, and a lot of black people. Maybe only 2 white people in my grade. Crazy, right? And so I never experienced any racism growing up. It was the opposite for me in your experience, that I moved to Benicia, which was predominantly white. And that's when I got a whole lot of looks. You know, I got a whole lot of, and like a lot of the listeners of my podcast already know this story. When I moved to Benicia, a lot of people would talk to me slower. A lot of the white people would talk to me more slowly because they thought I was from the Philippines. And me, so foolish of me, and because of my insecurities and why I am a comedian now, and why I'm a performer now, is because like I am a people pleaser. And so I leaned into like they were like, Christian, do that Filipino accent they usually do. And then I would do it. And not thinking about it, it's just like a dancing monkey routine, you know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to fit in. I wanted to fit in with these people of Benicia. You know, I wanted to make friends in the 7th grade. But the microaggressions because of the color of my skin, I didn't experience until later on in my life. I've also told this story in the podcast before, but there was this one time I was driving to SoCal with my fiance, and we were trying to change lanes because of LA traffic. And because of changing lanes, I couldn't go. I was like stalling a little bit, and there was someone behind me that was like honking because they wanted me to get out the fucking way or some shit. And so they went around me, they passed me up, and as they passed me up, the driver and the girl in his car, they were both white. They looked at me and they did this to me, which is something that I did not even like. I've only seen in movies, right? Like the fact that Come on, dude. If you're gonna do something like that, like at least be more creative about it. That's like that's low hanging fruit if you're gonna make a racial joke. So, but it's crazy that like it exists, and sometimes we're too young to realize it, and when we're old and we experience it, it's still just as impactful.
Yeah, but I think, it's definitely, it impacts you in ways you don't know at first. But I'm happy that situations happen, and my parents took the initiative to want me and my brother to grow up in a place where we weren't always going up against that wall.
Yeah.
And it's like moving out here when I was 4 years old was kind of like when everything opened up and I started meeting all types of people and I started going to school with everyone. And it like, I wasn't experiencing those feelings of like, oh, I'm different than these people. It was more so like, oh, it's just a melting pot of so many people. And I think that's what I really enjoy about like the Bay Area or
diversity,
like
man.
Being out here is like, and it's like, I know that's a luxury for us because essentially we're living in a bubble where it's like a lot of places in the United States aren't so diverse.
Yeah, at least we're living in California.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We're living in a bubble, and it's like I'm grateful to have grown up in that bubble so I can have a certain mindset where I can be like, man, there's all types of people coming from different places in the world, and it's like we can all champion each other and we can all conversate with each other. We can all communicate, have community, you know what I'm saying? Get to know each other and like experience each other's cultures through food, music,
Bay Area,
film, you know what I'm saying? Just conversation. And it's like, I think that's the beautiful thing that's allowed me to enjoy my experience out here. And like, I think that's just been a pivotal thing in my journey. Cause it's like, that allows me to have an open mind and have an open heart to anyone and at least not look at someone and assume anything about them. Like I try to go at every person with a blank slate and be like, let me just see what this person has to say, or let me just see how this person is. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously, being aware of yourself and your surroundings and the people you talk to and your boundaries, you know, but I just try to keep an open heart. For the most part, and just kind of just listen. Listen to what people say and be aware of how they treat you. And that will kind of tell you more of how they see you than what they will say, I see you, quote unquote, way.
I feel that. Growing up with immigrant parents, how does it feel like pursuing something creative? Because I know that's typical, you know what I'm saying? Because already with my parents, when I told them, like, I told my dad at a young age, he asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I want to be a wedding singer. And he said, okay, all you're going to be eating is wedding cake because they don't pay much for wedding singers. I'm like, fine, okay. But at a young age, I found out that like to pursue your dreams with Asian immigrant parents, it's a little more difficult than with having a different background. I wanted to see if you related to that at all, because now, I mean, like you went to school for film production and now you're pursuing music. And like how do they feel about that? And like what kind of hurdles or support do they provide?
I think my parents understood from a very young age that I was very creative and I had a big imagination. Circling back to us talking about like the way I dress and my clothes and my fashion. I've always been really into like creative things, whether it's like dressing myself as a kid, whether it's like I'm really into like watching this movie. I really want to listen to this type of music. Like with clothes, it's like I remember at an early age, like I didn't want my parents to dress me. I always wanted to be like, no, I want to put this and this on.
Wait, let's break it down. What were you? How did you dress as a kid? Like, what if you were choosing your own wardrobe? What was it?
I was going through all the phases as a kid. I was going through the emo, wearing all black phase. I was going through I was wearing the skinny jeans with like chunky shoes and just like
a new boys era.
Yeah, like not matching colors at all. Not saying you have to match colors to like look good, but I'm just saying I was just wearing anything. But I think my sense of style now is because I allowed myself and my parents allowed me to just wear whatever, and I was able to figure out my own personal style.
That's nice.
As time went on. So I was able to be like, like right now it's like, okay, big pants, this t-shirt, okay, and a cardigan. This feels comfortable to me, and I like the silhouette of it. I like the
silhouette.
I like the big on the bottom and then the kind of slimmer on the top, because then it just flows out, you know. And then depending on what shoes you wear, but I think my parents, you know, obviously they dress you a little bit when you're young because they're just trying to, you know, get you ready for school. And my parents aren't the biggest on fashion, so they used to just be like, just wear clothes and go to school. Don't worry about your clothes. Worry about your education, which is right.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, I have to get this fit off.
Yep.
Because I used to use the phrase on them where it's like, if you dress good, you feel good, and if I feel good, then I'll get better grades.
Whoa, you flipped it on them.
That used to be like my phrase that I would always use to be like, but if my fit's not good and I don't feel good, how do you expect me to get good grades?
Dude, you're straight up playing chess with your parents, man.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, whatever. My parents did my mom cut my hair and she prepared my outfits. And I guess I didn't care about what I wore, but thinking about it retrospectively.
No, I feel you. My dad used to cut my hair. My dad used to not line me up. I love my dad to death. But my dad used to cut my hair, and then like he would try to line me up. But obviously it's not like, you know, when I go to a barber now. And then eventually I got to middle school and I was like, I ain't gonna lie to you, Dad. I'm just going to a barber.
You had that convo with your dad.
I had that conversation. But he was cool with it. He was doing it out of like, you know, I'm his son. He's like, I'm going to just cut his hair, get the job done. And it was cool. I'm not saying my haircut was terrible, but I'm just saying it's like I wanted like, because, you know, there were kids who were going to barbers before I started going to barbers. And I used to see how crispy the line was. And I used to be like, man, I want my hair to be that crispy.
Man, some of my like nephews, since my cousins that had them, my cousins who are their parents, since they're hip with it, you know, and they know good barbers. Have you seen like those babies that immediately have good fashion? They're like wearing like flannels, nice baby Gap jeans. And have you seen babies wear Timbs? It is the craziest thing that I've ever seen. And then like some of these kids that are like 2 or 3 years old, the freshest like tapers I've ever seen. I'm like, damn, you got enough hair as like a child to get a taper. That's nuts. But then you and me growing up with immigrant parents just got some like very subpar haircuts.
Exactly. You know, but it was, you know, you got to go through that phase. And even with clothes, like, excuse me, my parents couldn't always afford to get me the nicest clothes or whatever. Like my mom like used to buy me like one pair of Converse a year because that's what we could afford. So I had to figure out what fits can I put together around one pair of shoes. Wow. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you learn to get creative. So I think like having less and then over time getting more and more, it's like you get creative. And then when I had the ability to have more as time went on, I was like, oh, I kind of know what I want to do now. Yeah. And I know the things I like and the things I don't like. So it's like it's allowing me to kind of play and kind of do that. But going back to your question, so I don't miss it, is being a creative. I think my parents kind of understood who I was as a person. Obviously, they wanted me to be like a lawyer because I'm a good conversationalist. Mom was like, you should be a lawyer. And then it's like my dad wanted me to, you know, they wanted me to do something where they knew I'd be secure financially. Yeah. I'd be living well. And I respect that because, you know, as a parent, you'd want your kid to be well and do well in life. But I think I remember I graduated high school and I didn't want to go to college.
Ooh, how did that conversation
Because I was like,
go?
I wanted to be a creative. So I was like, I don't want to go to college. And then I remember I had a conversation with my mom and my dad. And then I understood that they didn't have the opportunity to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? My mom eventually went to college and got her associates, but that's when she already had me and my brother. And I'm like seeing her go to school. Even then, it's like they didn't have the opportunity to go all the way with school, you know, because of, you know, life and what goes on.
Yeah.
I know they really wanted that for me and my brother because they didn't have the opportunity. And I was like, you know, I want to respect and honor my parents in that regard and like go to school and do it.
Do your parents listen to your music, and have they said anything about what you say in your music?
You know, my parents, I respect my parents
Because you have
lot.
a line where you say, I like the top or something like that. And you say, swallow, don't spit.
Yeah.
Dude, and if any,
Swallow, don't spit, sippy cup of that treetop, kicking back with my feet, watching Cowboy Bebop. That's on Boys in the Hood, man.
that's
yeah, no.
was your mom? I mean,
my
like,
parents, I've heard every song I put out, and I respect them because they go out their way to be like, I'm at least hear it. Their parents, they're gonna make comments. My mom and my dad have definitely been like, what is this line? Or like, I don't know if I like what you said here.
yeah.
And I have to be like, this is my art. This is the way I express myself. And it's like, if it comes out clean, it comes out clean. If it comes out explicit, that's just what it is. And I don't want to dim down my art for the sake of trying to dilute it so much that it's not, I feel like it's not as true as it could be to my experience. So we definitely have conversations about that. Every time I drop a song, like my mom will listen to it and then she'll text me and she'll be like, oh, I really like this one. Or she'll like talk to me and she'll be like, I have a question about this or that. And like, same thing with my dad. My dad would be like, okay, I like this one. Or like, sometimes if he doesn't say anything, then I'll be like, I don't know if you rock with that one. You know what I'm saying? But
dude, I feel that. My parents, my mom's listened to a few podcasts.
That's interesting.
First of all, it's safe to say that my mom doesn't understand what a podcast is, nor do her sisters or, you know, any of my family from the Philippines. They keep saying like, do you do like the radio show now? You do radio show now? And then my mom will be like, how come you keep saying F this, F that? How come you talk about sex? You talk about your penis? I'm like, Mom, because it's a comedy podcast and like, you know, we just shoot the shit and whatnot. Can I show you something that my mom, she had come across on Instagram. She liked it and then she unliked it. And then she left a comment. I'm going to play it.
Your mom's like, I'm gonna like it because it's my son, and then she really watched it and she was like, ooh, never mind.
Dude, my mom fake as fuck. She's so fake. I'm kidding. I love you, Mom. She's done this podcast.
Shout out all the moms out there, man.
Shout out moms, man.
Moms are important.
We stayed in your bellies for like 9. That's crazy to think about, right? Is that we stayed in
wouldn't be here without moms.
No, literally would not be
here. But while you find that, to answer your question, yeah, I kind of had to have a real conversation with my parents about going to school and doing film, because what it came down to, after I'm a good negotiator, which is why they said I should have been a lawyer. I negotiated where I was like, if I'm going to go to school, I want to go to school for something I feel like I can really take and really do something with this. Like, I want to be able to, because, you know, there's a lot of people, a lot of people go to college and they don't use the things they learn. And a lot of people get in debt because of that. And I was telling them, I don't want to be in debt for something I genuinely don't want to do, because it's going to hurt me more than I'm going on for the rest of my life, paying back something that I know I didn't want to do from the jump. So I'm like, if I'm going to pay for something, I want to pay for something that I can be like, well, I at least got something out of this. So then I had to really, like, it took a long time. This is not an easy conversation. It took a while. Like, I don't want to.
It's like, I want to get into film production.
Yeah, my parents were just cool. Like, no, this was like some real deal like conversations to a point where I was like, I had to prove that like I'm gonna go hard at this and like I'm gonna get the grades to prove to you that like I really want to do this. So
And it's obviously something you were really passionate about. From at the beginning of this episode, you already told me about your early accomplishments having to do with film. And I'm sure your parents were beyond ecstatic to know that you had accomplished that this early in your life already. And on top of that, you're happy. You're pursuing your dreams. You are setting the example for other kids that live the same lives as first generation children under under parents that immigrated to the US. Because here in the US they advertise it like as the land where of opportunity where you can chase your dreams. Then chase your dreams. I was telling you downstairs, we live one life. Why would I want to live that one life working a job that I don't enjoy and then come back home and just watch TV? Not to knock people that love that routine. And if you love doing that with your partner or significant other and you like that white picket fence life, then do it. But if there's a part of you that gets to age 75 with regret that you didn't pursue your dream as a painter, then you're 75 years old. Start painting that day. But now that you're 25, you started, you were pursuing music and film for a while now. You're living the dream. You're pursuing it. Yeah. And the fact that your parents eventually backed you up on that is dope. And to transition into something a little more foul.
Let me see.
All right. Words. Yeah.
Panda bear.
Yeah, panda bear. Panda bear. Looking like a panda cause I'm black and white, yeah. Wearing jeans cause my jeans are kinda tight, yeah. Wear my glasses cause I'm out of sight, yeah. Find me Facebook cause I like to like, yeah. I got a big dick, my dick is really thick. I got a big kid and my kid is my dick. That don't make no sense. What you talking about? Yeah. Fucking find your girl, I'll make her scream and shout. Spread them legs, girl, cause I like that pussy. I like your pussy because it's really nice and juicy. Come on, get your fucking thighs and then put it to my face. Cause I wanna see how your motherfucking taco tastes. Yeah, get me some sauce and I'll put it on top. I like to spit on this beat, cause this beat is hip hop. I got a thick cock, I got some slick rocks. I'm not a person with big rocks. Got a big cock and I put it in your mouth. Find me rapping all over the South, yeah. Got a beat, it's an instrumental. Gotta fuck up your teeth with this dick, you're gonna need dental, it's so crazy.
Fuck up your teeth is many. That's a many line.
Oh, thank you so much.
Fuck up your teeth is many.
Coming from you, that means a lot. Coming from any.
That's because I'm like thinking like, I don't even want to go. That's just a wild.
We can get into it. This is a comedy podcast, and my parents don't get this far into the episode typically. But I bring that up because my mom watched it, and it was appropriate up until a certain point, and that's why she removed the heart. And
that's I'm not saying I'm siding with your mom, but from a parent's perspective, I can see how like some bro, she was like, I can't endorse this.
Yeah, I don't want to hear about my son talking about like fucking up someone's teeth with their penis.
It's so like
it's graphic. I know it's graphic.
It's like it's entertaining, but it's like I see from a parent perspective.
Oh yeah, I don't expect my mom to like I'm not gonna send her a freestyle. Yeah. I'm not gonna be like, yo, slap
okay,
this
but
shit,
that's
Mom.
that's like Boys in the Hood. When I create art and I write songs, I don't expect. I'm not making songs and being like, man, my parents finna slap this. Like, I'm just making art based on how I'm feeling and how it comes out, and then just sharing that with the world. And I think that's what is important to me, and having that inner freedom. We were talking about numbers downstairs, and it's like everyone looks at numbers. I have to be more business minded. You know what I'm saying? At a point, like you have to think about the business if you want to be successful.
Yeah.
But when I'm recording, in the midst of recording, I'm using my experience to tell a story and express myself. Once I have that expression in a sonic form, then it's like, how can I take this and get this out to as many people and market this and, you know, do all the things surrounding the business aspect of the music business, then I will then I would say that's kind of where I'm not gonna say kind of, but that's where I'm at with it currently. Like, make the art first, then figure out how to market it.
Yeah.
I feel like if you come in with the business mindset too early in the creation, then it's going to hinder what you make, because you're thinking like, oh, I got to say this because it's going to go up here and there, when it's like, you can never truly say what's going to pop and what's not going to pop with music. Because some things that people wouldn't think like are successful are very successful. And songs that people think are going to be successful may not have the biggest numbers. Like for my EP, you know, I'm not going to say the song name because I don't want people to like look at it a certain way or whatever. But there's definitely a song on there where I was like, man, I thought this song was going to be the biggest song on there. And then it turned out to be another song that I wasn't expecting.
Crazy.
Where I was like, oh, people like this one more.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So it's like, you never really know what connects to people, but that's what I love about art, because you never know how someone else can take your experience and apply it to their mind and their experience, and they can enjoy it and take different things from what you're saying and apply it to themselves. And it just makes me feel like this is what I do it for.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. And it seems, just looking at your face and having this conversation, you seem very rewarded. And like, what a treat it is for me to talk to you on the release day of your EP, man. And it comes with like this nice little the coup de grace is the intro audition tape, right?
Yeah.
And it's like about maybe like 10 seconds of you saying who you are and that you're auditioning for this role, and then just goes straight into the Players Club.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, beautiful. Okay, I want to ask you, what's your favorite track on that EP, and why?
My favorite track?
And it might have changed. You might have had a favorite as you were recording it, and now that you listen to it as a whole, it might have been like, it's actually this one.
Yeah, I think when I was recording, I think Begin Again was my favorite recording, because I loved the songwriting on it, because in that moment, it was so real to me. And I felt like the words kind of just, it was one of those songs where like the words just came out. Like I wasn't like forcing it. Like when I wrote it, it was like, got a sign above your heart saying keep off. Said you never found the one until we talked. You want to be my main thing. You want to be a wife. Said you did the side thing, but it wasn't right. Let me talk. I won't front, because you everything I want. Searching for the right one. You could say I'm on the hunt. I could teach you how to stunt. I could show you how to walk. All these other lame, we don't know. All these other lame, they don't know how to talk.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we could cuss on here.
Oh, you could cuss?
Oh.
You could cuss.
These other bitches lame. They don't know how to talk.
I'm like, why you bleeping yourself? Go right on ahead.
But yeah, and I think that was just very true, because it's like, you know, in my experience, like talking to women when I was like single, it was just like, you know, running into conversations where it's like, oh, this person is physically attractive, but I don't feel like there's a connection.
Yeah.
Like a communication. Like I feel like if I can't talk to you and we can't have a good conversation between each other, then it's like your looks can only go so far with me personally. And it's like, I don't feel like I can be with this person if I can't have conversation. We can't laugh together. We can't talk about different topics. We can't talk about, you know, just our interests with each other. If everything's like super on the surface and super superficial, then it's like, it's not much to talk about. And it's like being on the hunt is like, everyone talks about the state of relationships like nowadays, where it's like, it's hard to get in a relationship. People want this or that, or this side wants this side wants, and it's just so much. And it's just like, all of us are like really on the hunt. And it's like, you know, and a lot of women in my experience have been, you know, gone through things where it's like they have their guard up, and rightfully so in certain situations. So it's like, that's why I like the first line is like, got a sign above your heart saying keep off.
Yep. No, oh, that's nice. That's nice visualization.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you're so guarded because you don't want to let anyone in because of your past experiences that not even just me, but anyone may be coming to you with the right intentions because you've been scarred or you've had certain experiences. You're kind of weary and you may be pushing away something that's really good out of just fear or out of just like, I don't want to be hurt again, because no one wants to be hurt again. And love is something where it's like, it's so powerful. The emotions where it's like when you're feeling good and you're in love, it's like the greatest feeling in the world.
The chemicals that release when you're in love, the serotonin, the dopamine, everything, it's just an irreplaceable feeling. And to be able to, when Cujo was on this podcast, I said it's easy to write a song when you're hurt, for sure, right? I mean, like, especially like his genre of music where it's like angsty and whatnot.
Yeah.
But on the flip end, it's also easy to write a song when you're in love. Like, and how long have you been with your current partner?
I would say a little bit over a year.
A little bit over a year.
But we've known each other for a long,
dude, I love that.
like a long time. Like we were like friends.
Dude, fall in love with your best friend type shit is the best type of like fucking story, you know?
You can skip all the like the.
What's your favorite color? Like,
yeah.
What's a, like.
See, and like speaking of that, that's why it's like the Players Club. That's why I open with it, where it's like I really was being honest about where I was at before I met her. Where it's like I used to be a playboy, like the magazine, where it's like I used to be out here just talking to multiple girls at the same time, like messing with multiple girls, just kind of like being out here, you know, being young in my 20s, just like, oh, like I'm not really trying to like look for anything serious. I'm kind of just messing around. And then it's like until you walked into my life and you changed the scene, and it's like now I'm just chasing out and it's like, nice smile, but the body mean. Baby girl, you should join a team, where it's like you should become one of these other women. Like, or I'm just messing. But it's like
interesting.
But it's like, I'm just kidding. She know that she in another league. When it's like you're not even like these other ones where I'm just messing around. It's like you're someone who I genuinely want.
Interesting.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She liked the way that I speak and say funny things. That's all I need to get the number, and I'll play for keeps. Then I kiss her on the cheek and I'll let it be. Every seed that I plant gotta grow a tree. Where it's like, you know, you may hang out with the girl, you know, hang out with a little bit. You may not even want to do too much. You may just want to, like, you know, go out, have a good time, take her home, you know, put a little kiss on the cheek. You ain't even gotta do too much. She may go home and really think about that.
Keep breaking it down. So your favorite color?
My favorite, talking about our favorite colors. Told her mine is green. Green is generally my favorite color. My room at home is two-tone green.
Okay.
My walls are a certain color green, and the ceiling is like a one shade darker.
I was trying to think if it's also like a double entendre for like a money thing too.
No, it is.
Okay, cool. I'm keeping up.
But that's what I'm saying. I like how people can take it and it can be other things.
That's art.
Because you took it that way. When I initially wrote it, it was about the color. But like you said, the more I even heard it, I was like, wow, this could be used for other things.
Dude, and especially prior to that, you say every seed that I plant
gotta grow a tree because it's green.
Trees are green. And I was like, okay.
And that's where I was trying to, where I was trying to go with it. Where I was like, every seed that I plant gotta grow a tree. Talking about her favorite colors, told her mine is green. And it's like going through those conversations where it's like every time you talk to someone new, it's the basics. And that's like the Players Club. Every time you talk, talking about her favorite colors, told her mine is green. What about you? Is it pink? Is it yellow? Is it blue? And it's
I love that cadence that it runs on.
You're trying to I'm just trying to figure out the basics about you. And it's just like, sometimes when you're trying to talk to someone new and, you know, girls have friends and they're protective of their friends, it's like, oh, don't talk to him. He's just messing with other girls. He says this to all this girls. And it's like, and that's really what it was. Like, talking about her favorite colors, told her mine is green. What about you? Is it pink? Is it yellow? Is it blue? Don't listen to them hating ass bitches in your crew. Because it's like maybe they're single and they don't want to see you get in a relationship because maybe they're like...
That's relatable.
You know?
And I like that you put that as the first track in your EP because it's storytelling.
It's storytelling. It's like I'm opening up and me thinking as a filmmaker. You know what I'm saying?
This is before the main character runs into his love interest.
Yes. And I'm painting the picture.
Yeah.
I'm giving you the opening scene. I'm introducing you to the character. I'm introducing you to his personality. Where is the location? What is this person doing? This person starts off the story. He's a person who has been messing around with multiple girls. You're learning his favorite color is green. You're learning different things about his personality. Then you're learning a love interest comes into his life. And now he feels like his life is starting to be in a transitional period.
Yeah.
And it's talking about all the things that kind of encompass that. And it's like me even talking about every seed that I plant got to grow a tree. It's like I love, like you said, I love being active. I love being outside. I love being in nature. So it's just like I'm just using imagery to give you different parts of my personality while also giving you the story of like going through these various talking stages. But with this person, it's like this person's different. Something feels different about this person.
Yeah.
And it's like it's making me, you know, that's why I say she's in another league. It's like, oh, you're not like the rest. So I'm just like, I could care less if we don't talk anymore. It's like, no, I want to keep talking to this person. And it's just like, you know, and then the kind of like second verse bridge part is kind of like me describing her. You look like a model out of a magazine. Curly hair, brown eyes, something out of dream. Apple bottom waist sitting tight in the jeans. You got to jump in it just to fit inside the seams. I'm painting the imagery. You know what I'm saying?
It's beautiful.
No BBL. You can tell us in her jeans.
That's
like,
so good.
No
That's
BBL.
so good.
No,
Double entendre.
No BBL. You can tell us in her jeans. Like her, this is her natural figure. You know? Grab the sunscreen, let the sun speak. So it's just like,
it's really good.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let the sun, like an ode to me loving being outside. I want to be with this person in outside settings. Grab the sunscreen. Let's take care of our skin. You can get your tan on, do whatever you got to do, you know? And it's like ruby red cheeks like a rose out of concrete. It's like when she smiles or when she's blushing, her cheeks light up like red.
You're romantic, aren't you? I mean, as someone that's like into film, like you must feel something when you see those romantic tropes in film. So this obviously would bleed into your writing too, and it does. Yeah. And obviously, someone being in a relationship and talking about meeting that person that you're with, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and I think I like being very. Something I noticed about myself, I like being very detailed, and I like the attention to detail when I look at other art. So I like putting that into my art where it's like I want to be very specific with you. Or it's like it's not just saying like, oh, this person's blushing. It's like I'm being very specific. Ruby red cheeks. Yeah. It's like
it's there.
You know what I'm saying?
With being a lyricist, with being a songwriter, the entire dictionary, the entire thesaurus is at your disposal. It's important for you to paint a picture. It's important for you to have a wide vernacular so that you're not just saying very two-dimensional descriptive words. You're playing, dude. Yeah. You're an artist playing with these words, and it lands and it paints a picture in our minds as listeners. And also, I mean, imagine being the subject of that song, who you're talking about, like being like, fuck yeah, ruby red cheeks and shit like that. That's dope, man.
You know, it's my life. It's my experience. And I think with my music, making music teaches me to be more vulnerable and open. So it's kind of like a good practice in that sense where it's like, I use music as a way to learn more about myself and be honest and kind of talk about the things that maybe I hold in. Like the last track, The Pursuit of Happiness, is really like my pursuit of happiness. And it's like, I'm just being very open and vulnerable. Like I start the song, I've been talking to my therapist. Yep. Like most people aren't, you know what I'm saying? Like mental health is a real thing. And I've experienced things where I felt like I needed professional help outside of myself. So it's like, I've been talking to my therapist. Why they scared of me? Is it because my skin is dark? Yeah, I'm talking 3rd degree. It's like, and that's probably like subconsciously looking back, that was probably an ode to my childhood. It's like, why did they see me as different? Is it because my skin is dark and there's, you know, and they're not the same shade. So it's like, and then I go into talking about my fashion where it's like, I'm just touching on this, but it's like, now I'm going to celebrate the things about myself that I do like, where it's like fuchsia tee, midnight jeans. And it's like, yeah, I'm talking gallery. And it's like, I don't sag. I just pull up, get the bag, and I'll leave.
Love it. Love it.
You know what I'm saying?
I had to do extra research because I was like, okay, you mentioned Midnight Gallery. And I was like, okay, let me look at Wil's bio. And like, boom. And that's how I found out, oh, shit, you studied film production at Sac State. And it's like a whole thing. And so going back to what you and Jebby were talking about, you can't have writer's block if it's coming from a true place, man. And that's exactly what it is. And I can tell the way you're talking about your music that you really love what you write about, and you really love your music, and that you really love yourself as an artist, which is, dude, you believe in yourself, and we all believe in you too, and that's fucking dope.
That.
And you have a great foundation, aka your homies, to lift you, and you lift them up, and you guys are just gonna achieve greatness. And I fucking love that.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
And on top of that, your recorded tracks, you speak at like a lower decibel. Like it's very classy, it's very gentlemanly, right? And then when you perform it live, you're a whole other beast, dude.
Yeah.
You're a whole other beast. And it's good stage presence. You got the mic up to your face. You are interacting with the audience. You're moving around. And to be able to do both, to sound the way that you sound on a recorded track, and to be able to like liven up the place on stage, that's a great thing for an artist to do. Yeah. Like, do you feel that? Like, what do you feel like when you're on stage?
I feel great. I mean, I usually feel nervous before I go, but I think being nervous is good because that tells me my nerves are alive. They're kicking, you know.
Means you're excited, man.
Yeah. And then when I get the mic in my hand, it's like, oh no, this is what I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
There's no better feeling than to have a mic in your hand.
Yeah.
And to talk and to
just, perform.
And share with the world something that you worked on behind closed doors. Right? Something that we as artists go back and forth on with believing in ourselves.
Yeah.
And then finally the moment of the truth happens. It comes. And the moment where you're supposed to believe in yourself the most, it comes out. And guess what? Those strangers, your friends, your family, your homies, they're all watching you, believing in you, in this thing, in this passion project that you've put out.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful life that we live in, to be granted the opportunity to be able to perform on stage and to be able to share that.
Very blessed.
A lot of people, when people ask me, like, so, like, you're a singer, like, why do you love singing? And the way that I describe it is like, do you like music? And then most people are like, yeah, I like music. Unless you're a fucking asshole. And you're just like, no, I like to listen to the sounds of waves only. But I say, imagine listening to music and how that makes you feel. Music elicits like a dopamine rush within us, right? The fact that a layer of sounds can elicit an emotional response within us, that's fucking dope. And that's just from listening to music. Now imagine the feeling you get when you're able to produce that.
Yeah.
To be able to have that effect on other people, it is completely irreplaceable. And I am thankful every single day that for some reason, I don't know, my dad made me sing karaoke at a very young age, and like, fuck, now I could hold a tune.
Aye.
And I'm like,
he set you up for success.
Absolutely, man. Do you remember the first music? Like, what was some of the first music that you listened to be able to spark this passion?
When I was growing up, my dad used to have like a lot of CDs. My mom was a big fan of like Michael Jackson.
Nice.
So I listened to a lot of Michael Jackson growing up.
Do you remember which album or what song specifically?
Thriller.
Yeah, nice.
For sure. My dad is a huge Bob Marley fan, so I listened to a lot of Bob Marley growing up, like an insane amount of Bob Marley. Also, an album that's burned into the fabric of my mind, which I'm not mad at. It's a great album. It's Hot Shot by Shaggy, year 2000. People talk about the song It Wasn't Me because it wasn't popular. There's so many great songs on there, like Angel, Chica Bonita. Like it's just, and it's like, it's really a pop reggae album in a way. And it's like, I feel like that album, before I even knew it, introduced me to melodies and like how to write melodies, like how to make a song sound good and how to really like, It Wasn't Me is really like storytelling. Shawty came in and she caught me right-handed, creeping with a girl next door.
Listening to that as a kid, and
picture this, we're both butt naked, banging on the.
Did you understand what was going on when you were listening to that as a kid? Did you understand that they were like fucking canoodling?
I think
behind closed
I don't
doors?
know when I first heard it if I understood.
Caught me red-handed.
But I think over time I started to understand because my dad played it so much. So I think I just started to think about the lyrics a lot.
What does it mean?
Like what is he saying?
Wow.
And it's like, I want to tell her that I'm sorry.
My
and it's like
favorite part of the song.
Him getting caught is just like, it's just like, it has the whole story of like, and it's just like.
Dude, that outro is so good. Or like that last part, like, I want to tell her that I'm sorry for the things that I caused. I'm gonna listen to your reason. Man, that's so great. And the instrumental behind it is so crazy. The thing about, I think it wasn't me on there. One of those verses was like a rough cut verse, but they was like, oh, just keep it on there, and then it became what it became. Yep.
And I think what started it was there was a DJ. I forget his name. I'm sorry, but there was a DJ in Hawaii that like when they were shopping it around back then, he heard it, and then he was like, I'm gonna play it on this radio station in Hawaii. And a lot of people were fucking with it. But like Shaggy and them, I don't think they knew about it at first. But it was going up at the radio station he was playing. And then from there, it kind of just started going crazy because everyone was like, what is this song? What is the song? What is the song? And then it kind of just started bubbling. And then over time, it just bubbled and bubbled. And then it just popped and it started going crazy. But I think I don't know if he was the first person to pick it up, but the first person to pick it up and it really did something and it really started growing its legs as a song was like a DJ in Hawaii. I forget his name. I know his name.
Wild.
It's on like, it's here, but it's like, but it's like, yeah, shout out him.
Dude, shout out him. Shout out Shaggy. Shout out Angel. That's another good one because the chorus of that song was from like an older song, right? Girl, you're my angel, you're my darling. I forget what it's called. But yeah, that's an incredible. I love that you say you have these certain CDs just burned into your mind because mine was like a lot of Michael Jackson, a lot of Jackson 5 specifically. And then also my parents played like some like random like Europe EDM too. So that's kind of like somewhere in my subconscious. So now when like Aqua plays, I'm like, man, I kind of dig this. And it's because of my childhood. Once again, we are our childhood.
Yeah.
But it's so cool. That's so relatable.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that plays into... Yeah, just into that. Like, I have a song on my YouTube. It's not on streaming, but it's on YouTube, and there's a music video for it called Get to Know Ya. And, like, I think looking back, I didn't notice at the time when I made it because I was like, oh, I just want to make a song for my parents that they would like. And I made that song, but I think looking back, I think Shaggy really influenced it because, like, the melody of it is just, like, in that same pocket where it's like, I want to get to know ya. I'm filled with paranoia. So come a little closer, closer. Girl, I want to hold ya. And then it's just like different lines in there. I kind of just like play with like, because the language in Jamaica is called patois. And it's a mix of like English and Creole. I don't have the accent, obviously, because I didn't grow up in there. So it's like, I can only try to imitate it as best as I can. I can understand it because my parents still have thick accents. So I understand everything that's being said, but it's like me saying it with the same cadence and the same accent is just not always there. But I definitely try to replicate it. Like, I think the second verse, I'm like, listen to EXO, listen to EXO, why you so vex? Use me for sex and my paychecks. Always gotta take things out of context. Do you even love me, girl? Be honest. And it's just like, that's like my best interpretation of like how I can get my patois out, even though I know it's not there. But I'm just doing my best from a kid who's growing up in California with Jamaican parents.
Dude, I bet they loved it. And you know, it's an homage to your culture. And that's one of the beautiful things of growing up as a first generation child to immigrants, right? I'm going to use the restroom real quick, but to preface, before we end this podcast, we end it a certain way, usually with an improv scene. Have you done improv before?
I can do some improv.
You could do some improv?
Yeah,
also,
we'll make some work.
All right, I'll be back, bro.
All right.
Do you need anything else? Do you need like water or something?
No, I'm good. Thank you, though. I got to hop in my acting bag.
Dang. Have you done him?
I've done
improv?
background acting before.
Okay.
But not improv. But like, I'm just curious of it now more than anything.
Dude, improv's fun, man. Improv is my roots. It's my comedy roots. It's how I made friends in high school.
So it's like with improv, do you just start on like a topic and then people just go off it?
Well, it depends on this podcast or in general, like how I've done it in the past.
I guess both.
In general, how I've done it in the past when I was like on an improv troupe and we would do it for a show, we would get like an audience suggestion or we'd do it with depending on like some short form games. But if we're doing something a little more long form and complicated, usually just starts off with like, I don't know, like an audience suggestion. And then we go for like 30 minutes from there. And on this podcast, we'll just do an improv scene either from nothing or from any of our conversations from this episode. And we just go from there.
Okay. Bet.
Have you done a podcast before?
No, this is my
This
first
is your first
one.
podcast?
Yeah.
Dude, well, welcome.
My podcast, Cherry.
Dude, come back whenever you can see how close I am to the content house.
I know.
Really close.
You're really close, for real. Like when I was coming and I was pulling, I was like, no, this is like really like not far at all.
This is the same direction to get to the content house. Yeah. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it can't be that bad. Ring, ring, ring. Ring, 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 ring. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello?
Will, it's me, Johnny. Johnny from down the street and from your 4th grade home period. I was wondering if your parents are going to let you out this Saturday.
Johnny, my boy. I told you. I asked them once. I'm not going to ask them again because if I ask them twice, you know they're going to say no. Just give me about a day. If they don't, then I'm going to just tell them that, like, I aced my tests and I feel like, I'm doing good in school and I just want to hang out with my friend.
Man, Will, we know you just talking bullshit. We know you're just in the house playing Banjo Kazooie. Come on out on Saturday. We're all going to get fucked up on Kool-Aid.
How did you know I own Banjo Kazooie?
Because you're the only kid on the block with an N64. So whenever we bike past, we hear all the sounds that they make, and it's not English because I don't know what they're saying.
Okay. I was wondering. I was like, someone's spying on me. I just gotta.
Cut to the following Monday after that Saturday at school. Will, you missed it. Fucking Jimmy got so chocolate wasted. It was crazy.
Jimmy?
Yeah.
Off the Hershey's?
Off the Hershey's.
I thought he said he only liked Kit Kats.
Man, he tried so I know he says he doesn't ever like to mix. I know. But what did you do? Did you even ask your parents?
I asked my mom, and then I asked my dad, and then he said ask your mom, and then I went to ask my mom again, and my mom was like, I told you could go, but by the time then it was too late. So I was like,
What time was it?
It was about 7 o'clock.
That's not even late. You just don't want to hang with us.
That's not the truth. I told you I'll be busy from 2 to 10.
What are you doing from 2 to 10?
Playing
Banjo Kazooie? Is that what it is?
I'm doing things.
You're doing things.
I'm busy.
Cut to a high school. Just cut to high school. Ring, 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 ring.
Hello?
Hey, Will. It's Felicia. I've been seeing you in geometry. I seen how you look at me. I was wondering if you were free around 8 p.m. today. If you could come out and hang.
Felicia?
Felicia
with the long hair?
The only Felicia that goes to Fairfield High.
I heard about you, Felicia.
You heard about me. You've looked at me. What are you talking
No,
about?
no. I've heard some things about you.
What have you heard?
Some things I'm trying to find out. Meet me at 7:30, actually.
Wait. Ring. Meet
Yo,
it's
yo.
Felicia still. Meet you where? You just hung up without giving an address or a location.
You know where to meet me?
I mean, I guess Fairfield's not that big. I'll just drive around until I see you.
No. I've heard about you. I know what you do. I'll meet you there.
Okay. Cut to Kissin' Rock in Fairfield. Wow. That's a nice car that you drive. That's you that parks there in the parking lot?
Yeah, it's my brother's old car.
Oh, it's so hot that you have a great relationship with your sibling. That's very unheard of. So what have you heard about me?
I've heard you like to take the high road.
Like to take the high, what's that? Are those mountain bikes in your trunk? You want us to?
I heard you like to ride, so I wanted to see if it's true.
That's not what I thought we were gonna be doing, but like, is that okay? Is that a helmet right there? I'll take that.
You're gonna have to. It's safety first when you're around here, but I just gotta let you know something.
What?
These bikes aren't for you.
What? What do you mean? What do you mean they're not for me?
This bike?
Yeah.
It's for me and my friend after.
What?
Me and you are taking it to the back seat.
Cut to Will and his homies talking about shit. Dang, Will. Apparently you a dog. You really mess with these women. You bring mountain bikes to Kissin' Rock and you say, I heard you like to ride, and now you got the women thinking that they're gonna ride a bike, but instead it's like the front, and then you actually just like do it.
I'm not fronting. I'm always down to ride a bike, but I could tell by the way she answered that phone, bro. She didn't want to ride no bike. But hey, I leave the option out there, but I could tell when we pulled up to that Kissin' Rock, she wasn't trying to ride no bike. She wasn't trying to get out the car. As a matter of fact, I could tell she had her sandals already off. She just had her socks on. I was like, you ain't finna put on no.
Dang, she
shoes and
had
ride a
her
bike.
just socks over, just out in the
Bro,
wilderness.
she was getting comfortable.
She was ready, just socks and that's it.
I'm not gonna say she was ready, but when I turned off that car and I was like, hey, we're here, she was like, so what are we gonna do? And at that moment I knew I wasn't getting out that car.
Man, I want to be just like you when I grow up, Will.
Don't be just like me. Be the best you.
And scene. Wow, interesting. I was like, I'm not gonna keep going in this scene where Will and I are gonna hook up via improv. So I was like, cut to.
I know. I was like, I'm just saying things right now.
Improv is fun, dude, and especially like if you've done some background acting, and when you guys shoot your shorts, is it fully scripted or is there some space to improvise?
I usually try to write things out. What I do, my process is I write the script out, but I open the conversation up with everyone I'm working with, and I say, here's the script as a guideline if you get lost and you don't know what to say. But if you feel like you can say something that's more natural to you or something you feel like is gonna fit better with the scene, then say that. Nice. But the script is kind of like, I don't know what to say. You can follow the script. But if you're like, ooh, I can say something that is better, then I would want you to say that, because for me, I'm in service of the art and I want it to be the best it can be, even if it's not my idea. It's not always about my idea being the best. It's about creating the best art it can be. And I learned that from Rick Rubin. Shout out Rick Rubin.
Rick Rubin, yeah.
Shout out Rick Rubin. I want to sit down with him. I will.
You could
I'm putting that out there.
speak it into fruition.
Rick Rubin, find me, please. I just want to talk with you, hang out with you.
Before we get out of here, just a quick, like, where do you want to see yourself as either a director or as an artist?
I want to be able to make both work.
Nice.
My plan, actually, with going to film school was I wanted to be a filmmaker so I can make films that go along with my music.
Yep.
So I planned making music and making films since I was like 17 years old.
Wow, you've known for a minute.
I known I want to. It just took me a long time to like figure out what I wanted to do and kind of like hone my craft. And then, like I was telling you earlier, I went through times where I didn't have the greatest work ethic. So I wasn't putting as much time as I should have been. And then I kind of had to like get myself into a mode where I was putting the appropriate time to make things happen for myself. Mm-hmm. But I've known since I was like 17, like, no, I want to do this. I think if I do this, it'll add on to what I'm already doing. So I want to be able to do both. But obviously in separate fields, I want to be able to perform at the highest level. I want to be able to make better music. I believe I'm good right now, but I want to be great. And to be great, you have to continue to make work because putting out work will lead to more work. Yeah. And the more reps you get in, the better you'll become. So I just want to continue to become better. Always. You know, I don't think I'm the best in any regard yet. Like, I'm still a work in progress. And that keeps me motivated because I'm like, ooh, I want to be the best. I want to keep working. I want to do this. And then with like filmmaking, it's like I want to create things, videos, films, shorts, commercials, documentaries. I really love creating documentaries and documenting. I want to create things that can live on past me, things that people can watch and learn from or get inspired from. You know, I want to be a sort of teacher through my own work. You know, I want to be able to put work out and want people, like how I look at other artists that I study and like people study me and can learn something to make their art better or learn something and learn a way to do what they want to do in the best way possible, you know, like a each one teach one situation. I learned from certain artists, so I want to be able to create art that people can learn from me as well and become better and usher in a new generation of artists and way of creating and stuff like that. And, you know, eventually I do want to direct a full feature film, you know what I'm saying, and live in that world. And then I, you know, want to live in a world where it's like I can perform at the highest level. One of my dreams and one of my goals that I'm working towards is I want to perform at Camp Flogna. That's like my favorite festival. And I just think like having a set there would be amazing, you know, it would be such a full circle moment. So I think that's like the one thing saying out there. I usually don't like to say like what I want to do because, you know, like, you know, you kind of want to keep stuff internal and just work towards it. Yeah. But that's like one thing I feel comfortable with putting out there. Like I just really want to do that.
And it's very achievable. And I believe in you. And I think what you're doing is great. And I'm grateful that you came here and got to talk about your music and got to talk about yourself as a person. And I got to know you these past few hours. So hell yeah, shout out to you. Before we get out of here, please plug your stuff. Look into the camera, plug your stuff. Where can people buy your music, stream your music, and find WILBEENTRILL everything?
Yeah, which camera are we?
That's this a single shot right there, yeah.
Okay. First of all, shout out you for bringing me onto your platform to even speak about my work and, you know, have these conversations. Even the one we had downstairs off camera, it's like, I think having platforms where people can express themselves in different ways is important. So I appreciate you for your platform and creating a comfortable space for me to be here. Like you said, my name is WILBEENTRILL. That's WILBEENTRILL. WILBEENTRILL, Will with one L. And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, all of those at WILBEENTRILL. It's all the same. It's It's all the same name. I was fortunate enough where I was able to get all my social media handles.
Boom.
You know what I'm saying? Just straight like WILBEENTRILL. You can buy my music on iTunes. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it if you could buy it there. I'm working on creating a space, whether it's through my own website or working through a platform such as Even, to get my music up where it can be proud to pay and pay what you want, so people can pay me based on the value they see and the value they get from my art. But in the meantime, I'd really appreciate it, you know, if you could just buy the art from the artist. And in this case, you know, buying it through iTunes. Streaming it is great as well too. I'm not discounting that. So, you know, stream me on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, Deezer, YouTube Music, you know, wherever you enjoy listening to music best. The one thing I always ask people is that if you enjoy the music, enjoy the scenes that I shot for this rollout for Noir Film EP, I ask that you share it with just one friend. You know, as long as you share it with one friend, and it's a friend that you believe will genuinely enjoy the content and engage with it, you know, I'm very blessed and very grateful for you. You know, I'm just blessed to be in a space where I have the ability to create, because a lot of people don't. Yeah, I think I'm just in a very blessed position, because I know a lot of people don't have the same resources I have or the same community that I'm surrounded with. So I'm very blessed and very grateful for that. Continue to stay tapped in with me. I got more stuff coming soon. I'm always working on new things, whether it's music or videos. You know, tune into Midnight Gallery, because that's where I host a lot of my videos in terms of directing. And then, you know, I got different things just coming down the pipeline. I appreciate everyone who's been tuning in and sharing my music and my videos so far. Bless. Thank you so much.
Hell yeah. WILBEENTRILL, y'all. Baddies, you guys know where to follow the podcast at ICB2B Podcast. Check out ICB2B.com. Merch coming soon. Follow us on Spotify. Recently got video up on that thing. Watch on YouTube and listen to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, if it's something you're doing while driving. We appreciate you. We love you, baddies. One more thing, look into the camera. Leave the listeners with a saying, a phrase to let them have a good day and all that stuff.
Be yourself, because everyone else is taken.
Hey, all right, y'all. Peace.
Can't be that bad.